where birth control was to liberate men and women for greater freedom in sexual intercourse. Both the man and the woman must now arm themselves with prophylactics like the condom, not only against pregnancy, but against deadly disease as well. The poverty of our inner cities is not just economic, but even on the economic sphere, there was this article in the New York Times, October the 5th, saying for the first time, poverty in the United States grew faster than the population. So much for birth control curing poverty. Now what about God's design for love? God's design is very different, and we are learning more and more how infinitely wise it is. From Casti Connubii onwards, the papal encyclicals on marriage have all commended the use of periodic continence for couples who have just reasons to postpone pregnancy. In discovering more and more about the science of fertility in the woman's cycle, doctors and scientists have revealed that the natural methods of family planning are much more than a method for avoiding pregnancy. In fact, to view natural family planning only in this light is at worst to abuse the method, and at best to see only a portion of the gift. One of the greatest joys of a couple using natural family planning is to know the time of peak fertility and to cooperate with God consciously in bringing forth new life. This is truly a sublime experience shared by the couple that is hard to equal. It begins the shared journey of parenthood. So NFP couples say time and again, we are pregnant. John Paul II has particularly encouraged the natural methods of family planning. He attends every meeting in Rome of NFP experts. In December 1992, he once again repeated his endorsement of NFP as expressed in Familiaris Consortia. The way of living which follows from the exercise of periodic continence leads the couple to deepen their knowledge of each other and achieve a harmony of body, mind, and spirit, which strengthens and encourages them on their journey through life. It is marked by tenderness and affection, which constitute the heart of human sexuality. Now, how can the Pope say this? Is it based on anything more than wishful thinking? Well, it accords both with revelation and modern scientific studies. Pope John Paul has made a study of scriptural texts relating to marriage and family. In his catechesis on Genesis and certain passages of the New Testament, he has articulated a theology of the body. A man and woman are two ways of being a body, two ways of being in the image of God. Being in the image of God means having a consciousness of self. Through this self-consciousness, a man and woman are person subjects. It is through the body that the person subject expresses his interior acts of knowing and willing. It is through the body, too, that persons relate to each other. After naming the animals, man could not find any creature like himself. God said, "It is not good for man to be alone." The creation of woman, equal in all things with Adam, but with a different body, enabled Adam to know both himself and Eve, and to enter into a personal relationship with another like himself and yet unlike. In this communio personarum, communion of persons, the image of God in man is fulfilled. Before the fall, the first man and woman were totally transparent to each other. This is expressed by the phrase, "They were naked and were not ashamed." After the fall, this complete transparency was shattered. Adam hid himself from God in the garden, and Adam and Eve covered their nakedness before each other. This antagonism can be seen in the psychological realm when Adam blames Eve for inciting him to eat the fruit, and she blames the serpent. Such blaming, it is well known today in a marital relationship, is one of the major blocks to communication. With redemption, what God intended for man from the beginning, as Jesus makes clear to the Pharisees in Matthew 19, is made possible for him again, and we must understand the significance of the body and sex according to God's original intention. When Adam knew Eve, his wife, this knowledge, John Paul II writes, in the biblical sense, means that the biological determination of man by his body and sex stops being something passive and reaches the specific level and content of self-conscious and self-determined persons. Therefore, it involves a particular consciousness of the meaning of the human body bound up with fatherhood and motherhood. If our bodies are designed to express the communion of persons, then to deliberately alter our bodies must necessarily have an effect on the way we communicate as persons. All contraceptive methods in some way block the gift of fertility, whether of the man or of the woman. When this happens, the man and woman cannot give themselves to each other completely. Neither can they be fully accepted for who they are as man and woman, with the potential for fatherhood and motherhood. Now, I would like to show how this is not just abstract theologizing, but is borne out in fact. First of all, what happens to the woman when she contracepts? With the contraceptive pill, the woman's cycle is obliterated altogether. She has continuous infertility to match the man's continuous fertility. The very name of the barrier methods indicates that a barrier has been placed between the man and the woman, which reaches deep into their psyche, since the body expresses the person. The procreative capacity is isolated out of the body, as Dr. Hannah Klaus puts it. Now, the opposite happens with natural family planning. Couples do not learn about reproductive anatomy just to know how to contracept. But fertility awareness helps them to understand themselves and their unique life-giving potential. They discover their joint fertility.